We'll pass and retain file item 64. File item 65, AB 1537. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1537 by the Committee on Jobs, Economic Development, and the Economy, and act relating to business, making appropriation therefore.
Assemblymember Eduardo Garcia, you may open.
Mr. Speaker and members, AB 1537 is back for concurrence from the Senate. AB 1537 is a committee bill that expands the type of information being reported on financial assistance provided through the Small Business Finance Center. There is no known opposition to this measure. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 70, no 0. The Senate amendments are concurred in. Moving to file item 66, ACR 8, the clerk will read.
Assembly Concurrent Resolution 8 by Assemblymember Wood, relative to the Jesse D. Pittman SO1 Navy SEAL Memorial Bridge.
Dr. Wood, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. ACR 8 is back for concurrence from the Senate with a very minor change. This is to honor a constituent SEAL who lost his life in Afghanistan in a helicopter crash. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll and tally the votes. Ayes 71, no 0. The Senate amendments are concurred in. File item 67, AB 1147. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1147 by Assemblymember Mainshine and others, and act relating to health facilities, declaring the urgency thereof to take effect immediately.
Assemblymember Mainshine, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. AB 1147 is back on concurrence. The amendments taken in the Senate added co-authors and an age waiver for medically fragile children aged 15 to 17 to join an optional service unit in day and respite health facilities. I respectfully request your aye vote.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll and tally the votes. Ayes 71, no 0. The Senate amendments are concurred in. Moving now to file item 68, AB 251. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 251 by Assemblymember Levine and others, and act relating to public works.
Mr. Levine, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. AB 251 is back on concurrence. Senate amendments raise the amount of funds a developer can receive before triggering prevailing wage and delays implementation date of this bill to July 1st, 2016. I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 50, noes 18. The Senate amendments are concurred in. Moving to file item 69, AB 265. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 265 by Assemblymember Holden, and act relating to consumer protection.
Mr. Holden, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm presenting Assembly Bill 265 on concurrence and Senate amendments. Senate amendments increase fines imposed on bad actors, clarify the timeline a dealership must comply with before using a starter interrupt device, and made a minor technical change. This measure provides hardworking Californians the extra flexibility they need to make payments, stay in their vehicles, and provide for their families. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll and tally the votes. Ayes 73, no 0. These Senate amendments are concurred in. Moving now to file item 70, AB 464. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 464 by Assemblymember Mullen and others, and act relating to taxation.
Assemblymember Mullen, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, AB 464 grants local voters the flexibility to raise revenue for important public services by lifting the cap on district taxes from 2 to 3%. The Senate amendments narrow the bill by ensuring there are no exceptions to the new cap. I respectfully ask for an aye vote on concurrence.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll and tally the votes. Ayes 44, noes 30. The Senate amendments are concurred in. File item 71, AB 546. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 546 by Assemblymember Gonzalez, and act relating to peace officers.
Assemblymember Gonzalez, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, AB 546 is back for concurrence. The amendments taken in the Senate are clarifying and technical in nature. This bill has received unanimous bipartisan support, and I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 73, no 0. The Senate amendments are concurred in. File item 72, AB 561. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 560 by Assemblymember Gomez and others, and act relating to civil actions.
Mr. Gomez, you may open.
Mr. Speaker, members, AB 560 is back in the Assembly for concurrence. The minor technical amendment made in the Senate simply clarifies the intended meaning of the provision that the express application of this act to minors is not intended to imply that adults are not likewise protected by existing law in the same circumstances. This bill passed out with bipartisan support, and I ask you for an aye vote on this concurrence.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll and tally the votes. Ayes 50, noes 19. The Senate amendments are concurred in. Moving now to file item 73, AB 566. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 566 by Assemblymember O'Donnell, and act relating to school facilities.
Mr. O'Donnell, you may open.
Mr. Speaker and members, AB 566 requires contractors and any subcontractors for leaseback projects to use a skilled and trained workforce. The Senate amendments clarify the pre-qualification applies to school district projects seeking reimbursement for future state school bond funds. I respectfully ask for an aye vote on Senate concurrence amendments. Thank you.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll and tally the votes. Ayes 50, noes 24. The Senate amendments are concurred in. File item 74, AB 816. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 816 by Assemblymember Bonta and others, and act relating to cooperative corporations.
Mr. Bonta, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. AB 816 is back on concurrence. The Senate amendments add co-authors and further clarity to the bill's definitions. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll and tally the votes. Ayes 54, noes 17. The Senate amendments are concurred in. File item 75, AB 879. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 879 by Assemblymember Burke and others, and act relating to juveniles.
Assemblymember Burke, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. AB 879 creates a voluntary program for county welfare agencies and the courts to provide notice to parties in dependency cases through email. All of the parties involved, the courts, the counties, and the individuals must agree to participate, and we've built in flexibility for courts to design and tailor their own systems. The amendments taken in Senate were technical in nature and added co-authors. I respectfully request your aye vote.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll and tally the votes. Ayes 73, no 0. The Senate amendments are concurred in. Moving now to file item 76, AB 1101. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1101 by Assemblymember Bonilla and others, and act relating to pupil school enrollment.
Ms. Bonilla, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. I'm pleased to present AB 1101 for concurrence in Senate amendments. The amendments clarify the definition of surreptitious photographing or video recording of students. I believe that AB 1101 strikes the balance between school districts being able to investigate, but doing it in a manner that is safe for children and their families. I ask for your aye vote.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll and tally the votes. Ayes 73, no 0. The Senate amendments are concurred in. File item 77, AB 1146. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1146 by Assemblymember Jones and others, and act into recreational safety.
Mr. Jones, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, AB 1146 is a great bill. The Senate didn't make it bad. Please vote aye on concurrence.
Any debate? Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll and tally the votes. Ayes 73, no 0. The Senate amendments are concurred in. Going down to file item 78, AB 1245, the clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1245 by Assemblymember Cooley, an act relating to unemployment insurance.
Assemblymember Cooley, you may open.
Colleagues, AB 1245 is back from the Senate. This is the bill dealing with the electronic filing of unemployment taxes. Senate amendments were minor and clarifying, and the bill will phase in over time to avoid any hardship. I request an aye vote.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 73, noes 2. The Senate amendments are concurred in. File item 79, AB 1475, the clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1475 by Assemblymember Cooper, an act relating to sexual abuse.
Mr. Cooper, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. Senate amendments correct a drafting error by the Legislative Council. This bill has received bipartisan support and no votes. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 74, no 0. The Senate amendments are concurred in. File item 80, AB 1517, the clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1517 by the Committee on Banking and Finance, an act relating to business.
Mr. Dababne, you may open.
Mr. Speaker, members, AB 1517 is back on concurrence. It's the Assembly Banking and Finance Committee bill that addresses a number of technical deficiencies in existing law. The Senate amendments made the technical and clarifying changes. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 71, no 0. The Senate amendments are concurred in. And final item on the concurrence calendar, file item 81, ACR 53. The clerk will read.
Assembly Concurrent Resolution 53 by Assemblymember Daly and others relative to the Richard Dick Dickerson Memorial Highway.
Assemblymember Daly, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. ACR 53 is back on concurrence. Senate amendments were technical and clarifying in nature. I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll and tally the votes. Ayes 73, noes 0. The Senate amendments are concurred in. Going now to items on third reading. File items 83 through 86 will pass and retain. File item 87, ACR 7, the clerk will read.
Assembly Concurrent Resolution 7 by Assemblymember Rodriguez and others relative to National Night Out.
Mr. Rodriguez, you may open.
Mr. Speaker and members, ACR 7 recognizes August 4th as National Night Out in California. Doubled America's Night Out Against Crime, National Night Out stands as a community-building campaign that promotes police, community partnerships that will make our neighborhoods a safer place to live. Events are typically organized through partnerships between neighborhoods, city governments, businesses, and local police departments. Most events can range from simple backyard cookouts to community festivals. National Night Out engages communities in crime prevention. I respectfully ask for aye vote and would like to request that the first row be open for co-authors.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, Assemblymember Rodriguez has asked the first roll call to be open for co-authors. The clerk will open the roll. Members, this is for co-authors. This is for co-authors. The clerk will close the roll. There are 70 co-authors added. And without objection, we'll take a voice vote on this measure. All those in favor, please say aye. All opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted. Going now to file item 88, ACR 68. The clerk will read.
Assembly Concurrent Resolution 68 by Assemblymember Steinorth and others relative to Breast Cancer Awareness and Prevention Month.
Mr. Steinorth, you may open on your measure.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. ACR 68 declares October 2015 as Breast Cancer Awareness and Prevention Month. Breast cancer's reach is both widespread and devastating, and it's had a significant impact in our state of California. Last year alone, approximately 25,000 Californians were diagnosed with the disease, and over 4,000 lost their battle with cancer. Breast cancer can affect men, but nearly 99% of the cases are with women. Roughly 1 in 8 women in America will be diagnosed during their lifetime. That is countless mothers, daughters, sisters, friends, and in my family's case, my grandmother, last June of 2014. These staggering statistics underscore the need to encourage prevention and timely treatment through regular screening. ACR 68 raises awareness about the importance of early detection and prevention of breast cancer and supports the work being done to eliminate this disease. As we honor all of those that have come before us in this fight, I respectfully ask for all of your aye votes and that the first roll be open for co-authors. Thank you.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, Mr. Steinorth has asked the first roll to be open for co-authors. The clerk will open the roll. Members, this is for co-authors. This is for co-authors. The clerk will close the roll. There are 70 co-authors added, and without objection, we'll take a voice vote on this measure. All those in favor, please say aye. All opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it. The resolution is adopted. File item 89, we will pass and retain. File item 90, H.R. 27. The clerk will read.
House Resolution 27 by Assemblymember Jones Sawyer relative to the 2015 Special Olympics World Games.
Mr. Jones Sawyer, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Since 1968, the Special Olympics World Games have provided an avenue for children and adults with intellectual disabilities to build and display their athletic prowess. Therefore, it is my pleasure to introduce H.R. 27 to honor the 2015 Special Olympics World Summer Games in Los Angeles, California. The City of Los Angeles and the Los Angeles Coliseum, which is in my district, will welcome more than 7,000 Special Olympic athletes from 170 nations to compete in 25 Olympic-style sports. This will be the single biggest event in Los Angeles since the 1984 Olympic Games. We are beyond excited to be hosting such a worthy cause that brings joy to so many. I respectfully ask for your aye vote and for the roll to be open, first for co-authors.
Mr. Lackey, you're recognized.
Yes, Chair and members, just real quickly, if I could ask for your support for this very worthy event, I promise you will be inspired. As a former coach of the Special Olympics team and a sponsor that will be welcoming a couple teams in this event to the city of Palmdale, I would ask for your support for this very, very worthy event, and I promise that you will get something out of this. Thank you.
Mr. Hadley, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, I just want to quickly say thank you to the author for bringing this forward, and I'm proud that my district, the South Bay Los Angeles, is hosting a number of the events in these World Games. We're hosting hundreds of the athletes, and hundreds of volunteers from the South Bay are participating in the World Games, and I urge your support for this resolution. Thank you.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, Mr. Jones Sawyer, would you like to close?
I respectfully ask for your aye vote, and the first roll will be open for co-authors.
The authors ask the first roll to be open for co-authors. The clerk will open the roll. Members, this is for co-authors. This is for co-authors. The clerk will close the roll. There are 78 co-authors added. Without objection, we can take a voice vote on this measure. All those in favor, please say aye. All opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it. The resolution is adopted. Going now to the Senate third reading, file item 92, SB 28. The clerk will read.
Senate Bill 28 by Senator Wajkowski, an act relating to spousal support.
Mr. Wagner, you may open on the measure.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. SB 28 fixes a little bit of a loophole in the law. Right now, under the Family Code, if you are convicted of battering a spouse when in a divorce proceeding you seek spousal support, you need to explain that criminal conviction away and your entitlement to such support from the spouse that you battered. Yes, that's the law, and that makes a lot of sense. However, the loophole is when you enter a nolo contendere plea, essentially admitting guilt, but just deciding you're not going to plead to the charges, that same presumption doesn't apply. You don't have to explain away that battery before you're entitled to spousal support. This bill closes that loophole and provides that with a nolo plea, you are also then required to explain to the judge and rebut the presumption with respect to spousal support. Good bill closes a loophole. I urge support.
Thank you, Mr. Wagner. Seeing no discussion or debate on this item, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll. Tally the vote. Ayes 76, no 0. Measure passes. File item 93, that's SB 227. Clerk will read.
Senate Bill 227 by Senator Mitchell, enacting the grand juries.
Mr. Quirk, are you ready to take this item up? Thank you.
Good morning, Speaker and members. I'm pleased to present SB 227, which prohibits the use of a criminal grand jury when evidence indicting a police officer's use of excessive force or firearm may have contributed to the death of a person being detained or arrested by the peace officer. The grand jury system has recently come under fire nationally in the wake of several incidents of officers-involved deaths. The grand jury system lacks transparency. It is not adversarial in nature. No judges or defense attorneys participate. The rules of evidence do not apply. There are no cross-examination of witnesses. There are no objections and no oversights in how the law is explained to jurors. And in particular, in the famous case in Ferguson, there were actually incorrect instructions given to the jurors, which probably helped result in a non-indictment. But there was no judge there to correct it. And the decisions rendered by these juries have critical implications. Some counties have recognized this concern and taken action. Los Angeles and Santa Clara counties have adopted policies that preclude the criminal grand jury being used in cases where an officer's actions may be the cause of the death of a subject. In other counties, we still have secrecy. SB 227 merely requires that peace officers' cases be sent through the preliminary hearing process when a civilian death is alleged to have occurred as a result of an officer-involved shooting or by use of excessive force. The public has a right to know that such a grave allegation is taken seriously and is investigated thoroughly. SB 227 is a step towards restoring faith in our system of justice in our communities. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you. Seeing no discussion or debate on this item, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. 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 Mr. Quirk.
We'll put it on call.
Mr. Quirk moves call. File items 94 through 96 pass and retain. Moving to file item 97, that's SCR 55. The clerk will read.
Senate Concurrent Resolution 55 by Senator Pan and others relative to the centennial of the founding of Locke, California.
Mr. Frazier, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. It's an honor to present SCR 55, which celebrates the centennial anniversary of Locke, California. Locke, California was founded in 1915, and this year marks its 100th anniversary. In addition to its robust agricultural history, Locke is unique because it is the only Chinatown in the United States. All other Chinatowns we are familiar with are part of another city. In order to preserve its charm, the Sacramento County Historical Society added Locke to the Registry of National Historic Places. This resolution has bipartisan support and no opposition. Thank you, and I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Would you like co-authors, Mr. Frazier?
Yes, please.
First roll will be open for co-authors. Clerk will open the roll. This is for co-authors, members, co-authors on SCR 55. Co-authors adding on SCR 55. The clerk will close the roll. There are 74 co-authors added. Without objection, we may take a voice vote on the item. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. The ayes have it. The resolution is adopted. File item 98 passed and retained. File item 99, that's SB 761. Clerk will read.
Senate Bill 761 by Senator Hall, an act relating to business.
Mr. Cooper, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. SB 761 requires short-term rental companies to disclose on their website or mobile application that a tenant listing a room or unit for rent may be in violation of their lease and may subject the tenant to legal action, including possible eviction. The bill requires potential hosts to acknowledge this disclosure prior to listing the short-term rental online. Short-term rental websites are a great part of the growing sharing economy and a valuable tool for travelers. But properties listed on these sites should be in compliance with laws and contractual agreements that may limit the use of property to third parties. SB 761 provides tenants with important information about the potential legal risk of listing their room or unit on a short-term rental website and will help ensure the long-term stability and growth of this segment and sharing economy. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Seeing no discussion or debate on this item, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the vote. Ayes 73, no 0. Measure passes. File items 100 through 102 pass and retain. File item 103. That's SB 415. Clerk will read.
Senate Bill 415 by Senator Oweso and others, an act relating to elections.
Mr. Alejo, you are up.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker and members. As the chair of the Latino Caucus, I'm proud to support and present SB 415 by Senator Oweso, the California Voter Participation Rights Act. This bill will push local governments to consolidate their elections with statewide races and will only focus on local governments whose turnout is 25% less than the voter turnout over the last 4 statewide elections. Recent studies by Common Cause, the Green Line Institute, and other academic institutions have shown that consolidating elections is a good way to increase voter participation up to as much as 36%. At the same time, consolidating will provide significant savings to local taxpayers who are currently paying millions of dollars for low turnout races. I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Alejo. Mr. Hadley, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I must respectfully rise in opposition to this bill. I represent a district with 11 cities in my district. These range from cities with a population of less than 2,000 to, I also represent a small slice of the city of Los Angeles. And this bill would transform the election process and governance of a number of these cities. Just to cite a few examples, many of our cities, it is relatively inexpensive to run for office. In a world where candidates for city council, for school board, and so on are competing with the direct mail, with the TV advertising, with the radio, and so on of larger campaigns, it would be far more expensive to run for local office. That's one issue I have. Secondly, the volunteers that work on these campaigns, in many cases, are also volunteers that work on general election, June, November, even year campaigns. And the ability of local candidates in small towns to attract volunteers working on their campaigns in competition with upmarket, up-ticket campaigns, I think is very significant. And then finally, the pool of candidates for these offices will also be changed. Many of the members of this chamber were sitting members of a city council, of a school board, when they ran for this office. They will now, in many cases, be forced to choose between a simultaneous campaign for a local office or a national or a statewide office. For all these reasons, I think this bill has not gotten the scrutiny that it deserves. I am 100% in agreement with the author that we need to do what we can to encourage voter turnout, but forcing our local campaigns to compete with state and federal races for money, for volunteers, for voter attention, I think is the wrong way to do that. I must oppose this bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hadley. Mr. Calderon, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. I rise today as a proud co-author of this bill. I represent 7 different cities, all of which hold off-cycle elections and all of which suffer from low voter turnout. But that wasn't always the case for my district. In April of 2009, the city of La Puente decided to move their elections to April of even years, holding their last consolidated election in 2010. In 2010, 40% of the city of La Puente voted on a local ballot measure. In April of 2012, only 8% of the voters showed up to vote for local city council race. The numbers speak for themselves. I request an aye vote.
Mr. Ridley Thomas, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to rise in support of SB 415 to remind folks that this isn't about elections and campaigns, but this is about voters and empowering constituents. As a representative of an area with historically low voter turnout, we know that consolidation is a means to voter empowerment, inclusion, civic IQ, and civic participation. With that, I would respectfully request an aye vote of SB 415 and thank the gentleman for bringing it forward on behalf of our colleague in the other house from San Diego. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Ridley Thomas. Mr. Harper, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you for turning on my mic. This bill represents a pattern among others and strips the ability of local governments and local communities to be able to determine their own elections. Might I suggest that the date of the election isn't the issue, and perhaps it may be the quality of the candidates. For that issue, I ask for a no vote.
All debate having ceased on this item, Mr. Alejo, you may close.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. After hearing some of the concerns about the bill, I have to ask, what are you afraid of? This is about voters, your constituents, coming out and participating in a greater percentage by simply making a simple change, moving an off-cycle election to an election for a statewide primary or general. We know we're going to have the greatest participation of your own constituents. So it's shameful to hear some arguments that it's about campaigns or campaigning. This is about your voters in your district who should have a voice in electing their representatives at a time when we all know we'll have the greatest turnout. Common Cause pointed out that from a minimum, there would be 21 up to 36% increased participation by your constituents by making this simple change. It's time to do the right thing and make these changes where it's most needed. I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
With that, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. 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 Clerk will close the roll. Tally the vote. Ayes 41, noes 28. Measure passes.